Yeah, and I think you're spot on. And I think it's more about actually starting some reflection
Mm-hmm.
on the organization or the team you're leading, because actually the beautiful thing about Good to Great, and if you haven't read it, go and buy it. If you have read it and stand on the bookshelf and you didn't really read it, take it down and read it again and think about it this way, because I think actually, as I say, there's principles about how you build a great yourself, because you need to start leading yourself before you can lead others. And we will tap into level 5 leadership in a second. And then there's the think about, again, teams. You don't have to run an organization for this book to be relevant. You can just run a team, because I started working with this on a team level and it works. And then there's also the organization, of course, and that's the biggie. That's where it becomes difficult, like any organization, because it's organizational change in principle.
Exactly. Right.
And you're playing with people's perception about how the world works and so on,
Mm-hmm.
and that's easier to do in a team. So I think people have to have that in their head, and it's about habits. I think it's another important thing when I talk with people about these principles or they want to change something. It's about micro habits. It's about you're changing habits within yourself and the people you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it took me an organizational transformation project with the cafe chain. And the first part of it, after a year, we found out we have massively failed. We've taken all these people away on 2 away days. We introduced them to all these concepts, and we've done some reflection. And then we thought we were doing some implementation, but it was driven by my passion, because nobody else has bought into it, I found out. And that was when I found out that there's something he writes in the book, stands in the gray box. I'm looking at it right now. And it starts with disciplined people. When you have disciplined people, you get disciplined thoughts, you get disciplined action.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem I had was that I had too many of the not right people. I was just trying to make them right, but I couldn't, because they didn't fit the culture. They were not on the same journey as us. They didn't believe in the same things as us. And a great example, they didn't believe, some of the GMs who work with didn't believe in people first. Thereby you're not a level 5 leader.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a massive learning, that actually you really have to stop up and make some reflection about where are you now and where you want to go to. And that journey could be 5 to 10 years. And I wanted to do it everything very quickly. And I found out, I was in my mid-20s at that point, I found out very quickly, I'm like too over ambitious. This is a journey. This is a process. It's human evolution almost, in a way, that happens within an organization. And I missed that the first time. So I just wanted to set the scene with that for my understandings and learning.
Yeah, that's, I had a similar experience with this. And after I read the book and I reflected on it for, 15 or 16 years now and gone back to it continuously. And I'm putting myself in this bucket here as I do this reflection, but I look back on 25 years in the hotel industry, and I've probably only had one level 5 leader. And I like to think that I am aspiring to that. I like to think that I try to strive every day to get there. But I'll tell you, when you're in an organization and you've got all of the different, in hospitality, we're experts at putting in new goals and new projects to strive after. And when you get inundated and buried in the day-to-day operation in a big hotel or working for a big hotel company, it's very easy. And I like your point about discipline. It's very easy to get pulled off course and to be undisciplined in seeing the long game, right? It's easy to get bogged down in making sure that the things that need to get done. And if you start having conflict within the organization, self-preservation very quickly takes over. People get defensive, people get territorial. And the lack of discipline causes very quickly the rest of a very interconnected company, interconnected industry, to lose focus on what the big goal is. And so it comes all the way back to the person at the top, or in some cases, some of the people at the top, to have to make sure that if you're in a position of senior leadership and you're directing an organization, you've got to be laser focused and maniacal on where everybody's going. How does your day-to-day work? How does your day-to-day interactions support the long-term goals for the organization and not get knocked off course with some of these smaller things that pop up on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis? And again, reflecting back on 25 years, I think I've had one person be able to do that successfully. So it's not easy to do, but I think if you're striving to get there and you recognize that you probably can get there, but you just have to have a high degree of self-awareness in how you approach what it is that you do, then you're going to be better tomorrow than you are today.
I think it's quite spot on, because also often people want the new shiny thing. Mm-hmm. And, you see people think leadership is about coming up with a new shiny thing. But in principle, I think we're going to see again as we come on the other side of a post-pandemic, I think we'll see that at level 5 leadership was a lot about doing the boring, mundane thing again and again, but doing them great, outstanding, right, and becoming great at it. And if you go back and read, all the great thinkers, Stephen R. Covey, you mentioned Ken Blanchard, you take Danny Meyer, they all focusing on a discipline around a set of practices, principles, philosophies, beliefs they have within their things about doing it again and again. And doing it well, and actually don't put too many rules in place that will block that to happen, because often when you need a lot of rules, it's because you're doing too many things that doesn't work. So, and they talk about in Good to Great, they also talk about those leaders has an ability to not to make a to-do list, and we all have a to-do list, but how often do we do a stop doing list? And as we were talking about before Christmas doing this, I was actually sitting one evening and just looking through the book, and I had the stop to-do list. And I started doing it myself because I totally forgot that principle and how powerful that principle is to stop doing. And what we need right now in the time we're in any organization, even if the world that had forced us to stop doing, I still think there's probably a lot of projects when it comes to digitalization. It's just because we need to digitalize now. Now we need to get started. Is this actually the right idea? What is the idea around digitalization in our organization? How do we understand this, and what 3 things it's going to do for us? Besides keeping us alive right now and serve our customers contact free. And I understand all these things needs to be put in very quickly. They should have probably been put in before the pandemic if you would be really cynical, because that will just be better business practice. But again, finding out what practices and why you're doing things there. Why, if you're adding a new thing, why are you adding that? It's giving us more value than what we're already doing. And I think, or else, why should you change the momentum of the organization? And I think we need to get to that again, because I think a lot of the disengagement in work is actually because there's so many new things put through organizations sometimes and I think it's about 83% of people that's disengaged in their work, which is quite scary. That was pre-pandemic, and I think maybe people are going to be a bit more overbearing, maybe, and not so critical in the financial situation we're going to come out in now. But still, we have a massive challenge we had before the pandemic as leaders, and I think it comes from we just keep on inventing things that needs to be done, and then suddenly the plate is just too big. You can't really eat that plate of food as an employee or leader.